Hi, I'm Veda. If you'd told me 5 years ago that I'd be happily married to someone other than Tyler Jenkins, I'd have laughed in your face. But life has a funny way of revealing who people really are, especially when that someone is your own brother. I smoothed down the front of my dress, checking my reflection one last time before my rehearsal dinner. Marcus and I had been together for 3 years now, and tomorrow would finally be our wedding day. "You're overthinking again," Natalie said, leaning against the bathroom doorframe. "I can practically hear the gears turning from here." "Just making sure everything's perfect," I replied, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear. "Perfect is overrated," she said, straightening my necklace. "Besides, you seem different lately. Good different, I mean. Like you finally put the past behind me?" I finished her sentence with a small smile. "Maybe I have." "Well, it's about damn time." Natalie leaned forward, her words tumbling out faster. 5 years is long enough to mourn a relationship that clearly wasn't meant to be, especially considering how James— She stopped abruptly. I set my lipstick down slowly. "How James what?" "Nothing. Forget I said anything." Natalie suddenly became interested in her phone. "Nat, we've been friends since third grade. You're a terrible liar." She sighed, meeting my eyes reluctantly. "Look, I didn't want to be the one to tell you this, okay? But I saw them together before it all went down. James and Tyler. They weren't just talking, V. Your brother was working on him." "Working on him? What's that supposed to mean?" "The way James looked at Tyler? That wasn't brotherly concern. He wanted what you had. Always has, hasn't he?" The memories flooded back. James always competing with me, always needing to one-up my accomplishments. But this was different. "What exactly did you hear?" I asked, my voice steady despite the tension building in my chest. "I was at Riverfront Coffee that day working on my laptop," Natalie explained. "They didn't see me in the corner. James kept saying things like, 'She's not the person you think she is, and you deserve to know the truth.'" "The truth about what?" My hands clenched into fists. "He told Tyler you were having second thoughts, that you felt trapped." I shook my head in disbelief. "That's ridiculous. I was planning our honeymoon that week." "There's more," Natalie continued reluctantly. "2 weeks later, right before Tyler broke things off, I overheard James on the phone at your parents' house. He was laughing, V. Said something about how his plan worked perfectly. The bathroom suddenly felt too small, too warm. "Why didn't you tell me this before?" I whispered. "Would you have believed me? Over your brother?" Natalie's expression was pained. "You were devastated after Tyler left. I tried to hint at it, but you weren't ready to hear it." A knock at the door interrupted us. Marcus peeked his head in, his warm smile faltering when he saw my face. "Everything okay in here?" he asked gently. I looked at my fiancé. Kind, honest Marcus who'd helped me rebuild after Tyler and made a decision. "No," I said calmly. "But it will be." "You're making a mountain out of a molehill, Veda," Mom said, arranging cookies on a plate as if this conversation was about something trivial. "James has always been competitive, but he wouldn't deliberately—" "Wouldn't he, though?" I interrupted, my voice steady despite the anger bubbling underneath. "When has James ever been happy for me without trying to one-up me?" Dad cleared his throat from his position in his favorite armchair. "Your brother loves you in his own way." "His own way?" I raised an eyebrow. Was it love when he told Tyler I was planning to leave him? When he convinced my fiancé that I wasn't committed? He said that? Mom's hand stilled. "According to Ryan, yes, Tyler's old roommate." Dad's expression darkened. "That doesn't sound like James." "Doesn't it? Remember when I got that scholarship to Northwestern? How long did it take James to suddenly decide that's where he wanted to go too?" "That was different," Mom insisted, but her voice lacked conviction. "Was it? Or has James been trying to take what's mine his entire life?" Marcus, who had been quietly listening, finally spoke. "With all due respect," he said deliberately, choosing each word with care. "Sometimes the patterns we refuse to see are the ones that hurt us most." This isn't about sibling rivalry. This is about betrayal. The silence that followed was heavy. I reached for Marcus's hand, grateful for his steady presence. I need to talk to Ryan again, I said finally. 2 days later, I sat across from Ryan at a small cafe downtown. He fidgeted with his coffee cup, clearly uncomfortable. I should have said something sooner, he admitted. But Tyler was my friend, and James made it seem like he was looking out for both of you. Tell me exactly what happened, I pressed. Ryan sighed. James would come over a lot, always when you weren't around. At first, it seemed normal. Brother checking out his sister's fiancé, right? But then he started planting ideas, asking Tyler if he was sure you were faithful, mentioning some guy from your work. There was no guy, I said flatly. I know that now, but James was convincing. Then came the texts. I leaned forward. What texts? James showed Tyler messages from your phone, conversations with someone named Alex about meeting up, about how Tyler didn't understand you. He hacked my phone? The betrayal cut deeper than I imagined possible. Or created fake screenshots. I'm not sure, but Tyler believed him. I sat back, processing this information. And you never thought to ask me about any of this? Ryan had the decency to look ashamed. By the time I realized what James was doing, Tyler had already ended things with you. He and James were, together, I finished for him. My brother and my fiancé. On the drive home, Marcus listened as I recounted everything Ryan had told me. What are you thinking? He asked when I finally fell silent. I'm thinking it's time James learned that actions have consequences, I replied. And I know exactly when to teach him that lesson. Our wedding reception was in full swing when they arrived. I spotted them immediately, James sauntering in with Tyler trailing behind him like a reluctant shadow. They hadn't been invited. Don't let them ruin this day, Marcus murmured, his hand warm against the small of my back. They won't, I promised, squeezing his hand. In fact, they're right on time. James grabbed 2 champagne glasses from a passing server and made his way toward us, smirking with unearned confidence. Well, 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 James drawled, champagne glass dangling between his fingers. If it isn't the blushing bride! Settling for second best looks good on you, sis. The guests nearby fell quiet. Tyler stood awkwardly behind him, eyes darting between us. James, I acknowledged calmly, I don't recall sending you an invitation. Family doesn't need an invitation, he declared with absolute certainty. Besides, I thought Tyler might want to see what he missed out on. Tyler stepped forward. I, sort of wanted to talk to you, Veda. Kind of important. Marcus moved closer to me, his hand warm against my back. This isn't the time or place. No, it's fine, I said, smiling up at my husband before turning back to my brother. You think you won, don't you, James? James smirked. Won? I have no idea what... April 12th, 5 years ago. I cut him off. You told Tyler I was cheating on him with someone from work. You showed him fake texts. Ring any bells? Tyler's face paled. Wait, those weren't... And 2 weeks before that, I continued. You convinced him I was having second thoughts about the wedding, that I felt trapped. Isn't that the word you used, Ryan? Tyler's former roommate stepped forward from the crowd. That's exactly what he said. James's smirk faltered. You're making this up. Am I? Then why did you brag to Melissa at Dad's birthday party that you'd saved Tyler from making the biggest mistake of his life? That you'd won? Melissa, our cousin, nodded confirmation from nearby. You don't know what you're talking about, James shouted, his face reddening. I have the evidence, James. The phone records showing you accessed my accounts. The witnesses who heard you plotting. Did you really think I wouldn't find out eventually? Tyler turned to James, confusion written across his face. Did you lie to me? She's the liar, James spat, gesturing wildly with his glass, champagne sloshing over the rim. She's always been jealous of me, of what we have. I laughed, the sound cutting through his bluster. Jealous? Of what? A relationship built on manipulation and lies? You think you're so perfect, James snarled, stepping toward me. Little Veda, everyone's favorite. You've always had everything handed to you. Marcus stepped between us. That's enough. Back off. James shoved him hard. This is between me and my sister. The crowd gasped. Two of Marcus's friends moved forward, but I raised a hand to stop them. No, James, I said evenly. This is between you and everyone you've lied to, everyone you've manipulated. You'll regret this, James hissed, his voice dropping dangerously. I swear you'll pay for embarrassing me. Is that a threat? I asked calmly. It's a promise, he spat, lunging forward only to be restrained by the venue's security staff, who had been quietly summoned by Natalie. As they escorted him out, James continued shouting threats, his face contorted with rage. Tyler stood frozen, the full weight of his mistake finally sinking in. I'm so sorry, he mumbled. I didn't know. Save it, I cut him off. You chose to believe him without ever talking to me. You're just as responsible. Tyler slunk away, shoulders hunched in defeat. Marcus wrapped his arm around me, and the room erupted in supportive murmurs. Are you okay? He asked softly. I looked up at my husband, at the love and concern in his eyes, and felt a weight lifting from my shoulders. For the first time in 5 years, I replied. I think I really am. I never thought James would go that far, Dad said, his voice heavy with disappointment as we sat in the police station waiting area. Threatening to make you pay in front of 200 wedding guests. I've been telling you who he is for years, I replied quietly. You just didn't want to see it. The officer approached us. Mrs. Matthews, we've processed your brother's case. The restraining order has been approved based on the witness statements and the recorded threats. Thank you, officer. Mom dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. How did it come to this? My children filing restraining orders against each other? I didn't create the situation, Mom, I said firmly. James did, with his lies, his manipulation, and finally his threats. Actions have consequences. He's still your brother, she insisted weakly. Being family doesn't give him the right to destroy my life, I countered. Dad placed a hand on Mom's shoulder. Veda's right. We've enabled his behavior for too long. The drive home was quiet, each of us lost in our own thoughts. Marcus waited at our apartment, relief washing over his face when I walked through the door. How did it go? He asked, pulling me into a hug. The restraining order was approved. He can't come within 500 feet of me, you, or our home. Good, Marcus said firmly. After the way he acted at our wedding, it's the least he deserves. 2 weeks later, James called from Mom's phone, clearly trying to circumvent the restraining order. Veda, please. His voice lacked its usual confidence. I've had time to think. I made mistakes, big ones. But we're family. Doesn't that count for something? Family doesn't steal from family, I replied evenly. Family doesn't sabotage out of jealousy. I was wrong, okay? Is that what you want to hear? I was wrong and I'm sorry. You're sorry you got caught, James. There's a difference. What can I do to fix this? A hint of desperation crept into his voice. Nothing. Some things can't be fixed. Some bridges stay burned. So that's it? 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we're still going to be strangers? That was your choice, not mine. Veda, goodbye, James. I hung up, blocking Mom's number. She could use Dad's phone if she needed to reach me. Later that evening, Natalie and Marcus joined me on our apartment balcony, the city lights twinkling below us as we shared a bottle of wine. Have you heard? Natalie asked, her eyes gleaming with barely contained glee. Tyler broke things off with James. Apparently, the whole manipulative liar thing was a deal breaker. Can't imagine why, I replied dryly. And, she continued, words tumbling out faster in her excitement, James got passed over for that promotion he was bragging about, something about character concerns after his public meltdown went viral. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Viral? Melissa's +1 is an influencer, Natalie explained with a shrug. The video has over 1 million views. Groomzilla Crash's wedding is trending. Despite everything, I couldn't help but laugh. That's actually perfect. Natalie raised her glass. To karma finally doing its job. Marcus smiled, clinking his glass against hers. To Veda, who taught me what real strength looks like. I looked between my husband and my best friend, overwhelmed with gratitude for the people who had stood by me. You know what I learned from all this? I asked. Sometimes the family you choose is more important than the family you're born into. And sometimes, I paused, gazing out at the city lights. The best revenge isn't getting even. It's living well. Marcus wrapped his arm around me, pulling me close. To living well, then. Our glasses clinked in the night air, sealing a new beginning.